Hey guys, welcome back to the Summer of Knives 2017. This is going to be the saw edition, or more likely a backpacking saw edition. Now I know that this is probably covered in many other YouTube channels. I will say that this is a small little amount of saws that I have. I don't carry a lot of saws with me all the time. If I'm going to go out for an extended stay or a trip more than one day, then I'll definitely pack a saw. Now, depending on where I'm going, how long I'm going to be out there, and what kind of tool I think I'll need will definitely change how many tools I use or how many tools I bring with me. I do have a lot of tree saws, and I'm not going to get into what saws for what, because honestly it's just such a big subject. I'm just going to show you some of the things that I have that are in my collection and that I use, and some of the things maybe give you a little bit of an idea. Now, if you guys didn't know, I am a custom knife maker. Please go up to threeriverblades.com, check out all the knives that I have up there. Also, most of these saws I purchased on Amazon.com, so if you are going to purchase some of this stuff, go down to the link below to the Amazon store and see if you can find something in there that you like. I think I get like 5 cents on a dollar or something like that. Alright, so I appreciate that. Alright, so what I'm going to talk about is some of the things that I use saws for, and maybe some people use it, maybe some people don't. Primarily, I am a outdoorsman, hiker, tracker, and I go hunting a lot. I don't set up blinds. You can obviously use these things for blinds, and if I'm setting up some type of tree stand, it's usually there before, because you don't want to disturb it when you are hunting. So as far as that kind of thing, or maybe you're a SHTF guy or a bug out bag guy, it always makes sense to carry some type of folding saw. Now, you can do a lot with a knife and an axe, don't get me wrong, but a saw is going to be your best bet as far as conserving energy, as far as being as silent as possible. And I've even seen and witnessed somebody use a saw to break open a rib cage of a deer. Instead of trying to hack at it with a knife or whatever the case, they just use a saw and, you know, a couple little cuts here and there, and they were good to go. And they used like a multi-tool or something for it. It wasn't one of these big saws. So let's get into what I have here. All right, this is the Bahco Silky Big Boy 6.5 professional saw, and has the extra large teeth. I haven't had a chance to use this because I obviously just got it, and it comes in a nice orange handle, which I'm a big fan of. If you don't know anything about Silky, basically they're like a professional arborist company. An arborist is someone that takes care of trees and pruning and that type of thing. So they make these great products. Now, there's different saws that they have. This happens to be the XL, or the Big Boy. They also have the Pocket Boy, which is a smaller one. The smallest one I think they make, and then they have one that's in the middle. I think it's called a Gom Boy. The Gom Boy is about the right size. It's almost about the size of a Bahco Laplander, maybe a little bit larger. The thing you have to realize with these saws is they come in different teeth. This is the extra large teeth. The Gom Boy comes in, I think, medium and large. I don't think it comes in an extra large. And what I want to talk about with these teeth is very simple. If you are going to cut logs for firewood or for building crafts, large crafts, you get large teeth. If you want something for small crafts, you get the small to medium teeth. I think that's easy to remember. Now, I know there are a lot of people that say, and especially in the other saws, if you go with like a bow saw, or I think they have a lot of those wooden bow saws that's now readily available that you can purchase. You can even make them yourself. And I think as a earthcraft or bushcraft, I think that's really the way to go. Everything folds down to this nice little leather pouch, and you stick them all in there. And you can buy these saw blades here on these bow saws for like $9, so you can get them pretty cheap. But the point I was trying to make before with the teeth is that some of them are rated for deadwood, and some of them are rated for greenwood. Okay, so when you buy a bow saw, not the Silky, when you buy a bow saw, you're going to have to decide what to go with. Another thing I like about this is that it does have a secondary locking mechanism, so if you wanted to saw on it while it's on the floor, you can do that, as opposed to just sawing it in the air or pruning in the air. It has like a double lock, and I'll show you that right there. Okay, these are really popular right now, and I think these things are pretty much blowing away the Bahco Laplander. I can tell you they're not overly expensive, which makes it really nice. They're usually about $40 to $60 depending on where you buy it, and of course the larger saw, the more money. The Silky Saw has one problem. Typically the saw blade itself is a little bit thinner than the Bahco Laplander and any of the other blades that you see here. What you have to realize about saws, especially the one-handed saw as opposed to a bow saw, is you only have one point of strength, and that's way back here in the handle. So if you bind this saw, and technically what you're supposed to do is push the saw through and drag on the back. It should be a back cut. Now I know a lot of people use it for forward and back motion, and you can. I'm not saying you shouldn't. What that does is it helps you saw, but if you get it pinched in here, what'll happen is this blade point, where it's nice and thin up front, will bend and it'll snap. And I've seen that on a lot of videos where they were using a nice saw like this, and they pinched the saw and they try to push it, and what happened is, bink, it broke. So there goes your $50 saw. Now, I'm not saying that it would happen on this one. This is the big boy. You probably have a little bit more room for mistake. But if you bought one of the other ones, like the Gone Boy, I've seen snap. I've seen the Pocket Boy snap. So it's really, on these Silky saws, like I said, this is very thin metal. You can't just be going to town with it, all right? And great saws. I'm a big fan of Silky. Go to Amazon.com, take a look at it, all right? If you're not in the mood for that, you can go to any hardware store. This happens to be a Ficus. Ficers. Alright, this is a 10-inch. It does have a locking mechanism right here, a little button. I think I got this at Home Depot. It's not as fancy, it's not as comfortable, but again, super cheap, lightweight, very aggressive teeth. And again, this is more of an arbor saw, but you can use it for any type of bushcraft. Very, very lightweight. It does have a wood handle, and I don't even know if they make these anymore, but for a 10-inch blade that fits comfortably inside your pack, you're good to go. Alright, let's talk about some of the more pocket size. I wouldn't even say pocket size. Some people make leather sheets for these things. This is the Bahco Laplander, and this is what traditionally I would call more of a survival saw, because on some of the other saws you can take them apart and replace the blade if you break it. Like I think the Silkies, you can do that. I don't think they have replacement parts for the Bahco. I just don't think they do. But they're cheap. These Bahco Laplanders are like $20–$30 tops. Super lightweight, ergonomic handle, nice grippy lanyard. Comes with the lanyard in the back. Easy lockup. All right, very lightweight. And what's great about this is they have very aggressive teeth for what they are. They're made in Sweden. Let's get you the information there. Design quality Bahco, made in Sweden, high quality steel. This is what you're going to see in almost everybody's bug out kit. Now, again, like I said, if you are someone that plans on bugging out and you need a tool to go in there, this is what you go in there. I like the Silky saws myself, but I know these are tried and true, and they have less chance of breakage. I didn't say they couldn't break, less chance. All right, so if you want to save some money and you want the lightweight good saw, go with that. Bahco is great. I got two of those, by the way. This is like a different model of it, and I don't know where I got this. I think this is probably a knockoff. Ameristep Quality Hunting. So again, I think if you are someone that is a hunter, you have to understand that sometimes if you want to cut off legs, or and I've seen people do this, if you're out in the woods and you get a deer, they gut it and then they cut the deer from, I guess, the knee down, I guess you could call it that, and it reduces the weight because you don't eat the hooves. Well, some people do, but you don't eat the hooves, you just need the meat. And if you're just meat hunting for deer, you don't really care about the hide, you just want the meat. So what they'll do is they'll cut that with this. They'll cut these right off, throw those in the woods, leave it for the scavengers, and you know, you could also break open the chest with this, which a knife would probably do it too. And some people even take the heads off because it's less weight. All right, so again, that's really up to you. But again, great quality saw. I mean, it's super lightweight. The only thing I don't like about this saw, and I know there are a lot of them that are made like this, is that it's got a kind of a funky lockup. And if you can see right here, it's got like this little lockup here, and then you got to lift it and then pull it back, and then it locks into place. I haven't really foreseen any major problems with that, but you know, I'm just thinking that that's probably not the best place to put a lockup, is on top, whereas the Bahco is internal, whereas the Ficus is internal. And then this has a nice locking mechanism, but it's on top and it's covered, not like this. So just something to look at. All right, so let's talk about the bow saw since I got it out here. Probably one of the best woods tools you'll ever find is a bow saw. Now this happens to be a triangle type of bow saw, or I think they call it like a peak down or something like that. They have bow saws where both the sides are the same, so you have one side up here and it goes across sort of like a square or an oval, if you will, and then of course the saw teeth is on the bottom. Typically you'll get one of these saws in any hardware store, and you could buy the blades there as well. This one's made in Taiwan, and this is a 21-inch bow saw. I don't know if you can still see it there. Alright, the saw blades themselves are carbon steel, so you can see all the rust that I got on there. I'm trying to revive this. And just another thing, like I said, with these type of bow saws, this is probably going to be the best strength that you can have, because rather than having one point, let me just pull this out. Okay, so rather just having then one point of contact on your saw blade where you have to manage it this way, you have 2 points of contact, one in the front and one in the back, and what that does is it gives you more control. So this saw, I would be more attuned to going crazy than one of those saws where if you pinch it, you have nothing else to go forward with. Okay, so you can't really burr through it. Bow saw is a little bit different. You can bind these up as well, and I know a lot of people, you see these hanging outside of a tree like that. I've seen that many a times, and I've done it many a times. But the thing you got to understand is that these are hand saws. They are not chainsaws, so you can't just burr through. What this does is, in a safe manner, it allows you to cut a lot of and process a lot of wood to help you. All right, this doesn't weigh very much. You can take the blade out and you just pack this little orange piece, and everything here just comes off. Let's see if I could, just like that. You just clip everything in there, and then when you're done, you just push it right back and you're good to go. Any hardware store will have these. They also have the ones with the butterfly nuts on each side. I'm not really a big fan of those because those butterfly nuts can come off, and then what winds up happening is you lose them in the woods, and then your saw is useless. So I don't recommend those. But a good bow saw, if I was on an ATV or I could pack that pretty small, I'd be good to go and I'd be happy with that, even if I couldn't have one of the fancier saws. Some other saw options are going to be the multi-tool device. Now when I say multi-tool device, this happens to be a Glock shovel. Okay, you can even see it was made by Glock. You think I'm crazy. Alright, Glock shovel. And what Glock did is they inserted a saw inside the handle. This is an end. Now, I don't know how good this shovel is. I'm sure there's some review out there. Most people do not like to carry shovels in the field. I know if you're a troop, if you are someone that's in the military, you absolutely will carry a shovel because you have a lot of uses for it. But what Glock did is they got smart. Alright, they put the saw in the handle. And how this works is you take the handle off the back, alright, you put it in reverse, and then you just screw it in like that. I prefer this type of multi-tool saw to a lot of different saws, basically because of you got a nice long length, the saw blade is okay, you know, it's plastic handle, but again, you got a shovel on one side, a saw on the other, and maybe you're probably not going to do as much processing as a bow saw, but you got enough to get the job done. And you know, honestly, these teeth will do the job. So that's good on you, Glock. I mean, I'm a big fan of that. So once you have it out, it locks in place, or you can use it on a shorty, whatever you want to do. But what I like about it, like I said, is it just, once you're done with it, you're done making your bunker or whatever it is, you just put it back in there like that. Put the handle back. Alright, and it's back to being a regular Glock shovel. Close that there, and then you could fold up your shovel and go. Alright, so pretty cool. And that's Glock. And I think it comes with this pouch. This pouch I camouflaged because this was one of my military shovels. I didn't use it all that much, but you know, I did carry it on my pack. And by the way, this is way lighter than any of those metal ones that they now give you in the military, or I think they changed them now to the Gerber ones. But another multi-tool option that wouldn't be complete without the sawback knife. Now this one is the Steel Eagle 111A, and they have another one that's not a Tanto tip. This is from Tops. I can tell you right now that by far this is probably one of the best saw teeth you're ever going to find on a knife. I know SOG makes one on a machete, and a couple other companies try to produce this. I like it because if it's functional and it works, it's great. This is a big, old, heavy knife. I could use a belt knife and a Bahco Laplander and it would still be less weight than this. Alright, so you got to understand the weight concept. Also, if I break my saw, then at least I have a knife. If I break my knife, which I don't think you can break one of these because it's a big chunk of steel, 1/4 of an inch thick, but if I break this, or even more reasonable, lose this, I lose my saw and my knife. You see what I'm saying? I lose them both. So having two options might be better than having one. But overall, I mean, this is a Tops knife. As long as you have this secured to your pack or whatever the case is, you know, and like I said, the machete ones, they might be useful. I have not done a test, so I don't know how good this is, but if I had my choice, I'm probably going to take one of my saws and one of my knives. Now, speaking of which, multi-tool option, we all know the Swiss Army knife. Not all of them, but you have to check the specs. A lot of the Swiss Army knives, even the Farmer, comes with a saw on it. It's not a locking blade, it's not overly big, but you know, you got about a 2 to 3 inch saw, and these things are razor sharp. So what am I using this for? Well, you're not going to make a cabin with it in the woods, that's for sure, but for small traps, maybe for small game, or for anything like that, these saws are excellent. So if you want to, you know, do your arts and crafts, Swiss Army knife with a saw in it is excellent. Also, the next multi-tool I'm going to talk about, you know, I love my Leathermans. So the Leathermans, not all of them, but you have to check. This Leatherman, where is it? I can't, for that as a file. Has so many great tools. This one does have a locking blade, and this is the Leatherman Super Tool 300. And a couple other Leathermans and Gerbers will come with a saw. So again, I try to maximize all my tools, because if I'm going to be carrying these tools in the field, I want to make sure that I have everything I need. So if I'm going on a day trip, I'm probably going to have a tool with me that has a saw in it. Or if I'm going for an overnight stay, maybe I'll carry a shovel, you know, to go number 2 if I need it, and then I have a saw in it. So if I forget my bow saw, if I forget my Bahco or my Silky, at least I have a saw that has a shovel on it, you know. So it kind of works out. Alright guys, I think I kind of beat this one to death. I just want to say thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know there's a lot of things that I'm talking about, but I like to make it entertaining and informative. If you have any comments, you can leave them down below. Again, like I said, I'm a custom knife maker, so please go to threeriverblaze.com. Check out all the stuff I have up there, and if you like a knife, buy one, support me and my family. Thank you very much. Stay safe.